Oh, another sports show, and we have to debate who is the best. Can we just watch the show without asking about top five and the GOAT? That story is coming up next. Trust and believe. And believers, welcome to episode 112 of the NOMADCAST, a podcast that covers multiple topics. I'm your host, Mr. Anderson. Thank you for tuning in today. We got a good show today. It's sports orientated, right? And if you're a sports fan, you're probably like me. We watch these shows on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and all these debate shows. And time again, it's always about who's the best. Kobe versus LeBron. Is Jordan better than LeBron? Well, how come you like Bird better than Luka Doncic? It's like, I just want to watch the game, man. Just have a debate. Just talk about the game. Why is it always got to be, is he better than him? Is him better than he? It's always. That is a struggle. All right, so today, again, after I went through this rant here, we're going to talk about that. And I titled this episode, The NBA Debate is Very Exhausting. I'm so tired thinking about it. First thing I want to cover is it's the same topic daily. Every day they talk about the same thing. No matter what happens in the NBA. And this episode is really geared towards the NBA because out of all the sports, the NBA talks about, not so much the NBA, ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and all these other shows constantly talks about top five, GOAT, greatest of all time, LeBron versus Jordan, Jordan versus Kobe. Man, let's enjoy the game. So again, this is a topic, they talk about this daily. The Stephen A. Smiths of the world, the Shannon Sharps, the Skip Baylesses, all these debate shows get up first things first on FS1. Nick Wright and all those guys. It's always the same thing. How come we can't just enjoy the basketball itself? Let's talk about the fundamental game of basketball, which is a lost art. But nope, let's run back to who's the greatest of all time. Who is your top five? It's like talking about rappers. Well, you know, I like Jay-Z, I like Biggie. Well, who's your top five, dead or alive? Look, man, I just like it. I like hip hop, old school. I like the NBA. Why is it always got to be about who's the best? Let's just bask in the greatness of the sport. When I was growing up, we never talked about that, who was the best. I think we did, but we didn't categorize it like how they do now. We was like, man, I like Magic better than Isaiah. I like Isaiah better than freaking George Gervin. But now it's like, oh, you got to have a top five. Like, who's in my top 10? Well, if he's in your top 15, he ain't in my top 30. Oh, my gosh. And what are we basing this on? Are we basing it on points per game, per year, per career, scoring average? If his only claim to fame is rebounding, Dennis Rodman, for example, led the NBA in rebound like 7 years in a row. No one talks about him as the greatest. It's always about the people that scored. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. All these guys, Dominique Wilkins, all these guys, what the greatest of all time? Well, it's more to basketball than just scoring the basketball. We got to rebound the basketball. We got to, have turnovers, produce turnovers, which is stealing the basketball. Why don't we ever talk about that? It's always about the greatest point guard of all time. Well, he's the greatest shooting guard of all time. What about the best guy that had the most steals in the NBA, career points? It's always about the same thing daily. You turn into ESPN or Get Up. You turn into all these network shows. It's the same thing, and it is very exhausting, like I stated in my title. And I'm a huge sports fan. No other sport does this. The NFL is kind of close a little bit, but the NFL, they do a good job, I think, marketing teams. The NBA markets players, individualism. And that's the reason why you're having a lot of issues now. When I was growing up, we followed the teams. Yeah, we knew it was a collective of individuals that were great for the greater good. But we followed the team. Now it's like, well, I like Kobe. I like rest in peace. I like LeBron. Well, I like freaking Kyrie Irving. What about the team? Everything is individual. The NHL does that. And I'm a hockey guy, right? The NHL doesn't say, oh, top 5. Well, who's your greatest of all time? You know what I mean? Baseball doesn't do that. The NBA is the only sport where your criteria is based on, are you the top 5? Or is he the greatest of all time? Look, man, I just like the dude is tight. I like the way he plays basketball. He's won championships. He's done great for this team, for his city, the community. Why does it have to be the greatest of all time? Your criteria of greatest of all time is not mine. Mine is not yours. For the sports fan, please put in the comments. It is very exhausting. Again, let me temper my emotions. I know there's more things in the world to talk about, but this is just strictly regulated on the NBA, right? That's why I'm like ranting right now. The NBA is at it's a different stage than it was when I was growing up, right? The ratings, the advertisers will tell you, oh, the games are phenomenal. Look at the numbers. The people that's tuning in to NBA games right now is decreasing, is declining, is descending. You want to take a note. Let's start propping up teams, greatest teams, not the individuals. Next one, does it matter? And I kind of talked about this in this previous segment. Does it really matter, man? If you like Kobe Bryant, if you like LeBron, why we got to pit them against each other? Luka Doncic, right? Larry Bird. Well, he's the greatest. Oh, man. Just let these dudes play basketball. Let them play basketball. Let's enjoy the greatness of the sport. Let's enjoy the greatness of what they're providing for the sport. More importantly, what they're doing for their team, the community, right? Let's stretch it out there. But does it really matter? I wanted the programming folks, the directors, the executive producers, the hosts of these shows on ESPN and FS1, when they come to their meetings in the morning, whenever they get together as a collective and discuss the show topics, what's going to be on the show sheet, what are we going to talk about? It has to be someone sitting in that room saying, you know what? We talked about this yesterday, man. We talked about this last week, man. We talked about this last month, man. We talked about this last year. We got to stop this debate. Oh, my gosh. This is crazy. Who cares who's the greatest of all time? Who do you like? I like this guy. Bam. That's my favorite player. Why does it always have to be the top 5, the greatest of all time? Why does it have to be this way? Just enjoy the sport. Talk about something else. I challenge ESPN. I challenge Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, the guys on First Things First, all these shows, right? Whether you're national, local, regional, global, whatever. Let's talk about something else besides pitting against LeBron, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, Bird, Magic, Worthy, Kyrie. There's so many great players, man, from different eras, from the 50s, from the 60s, from the 70s, from the 80s, the 90s, the 1000s, the 10s. Look, man, you can't pit these guys against each other. Those eras are different. The NBA that I grew up on in the 80s and 90s, that NBA is no longer there. I had my favorite players back then, but more importantly, I had my favorite team back then. Now it's all about individuals. Well, he's the greatest. So, does it really matter? Next segment, let's talk about the greatest teams of all time. Oh, you're getting somewhere, Mr. Anderson. The greatest teams of all time. That is a conversation I'd rather have. Who is the greatest teams of all time? And it don't have to be the teams that won championships. Let's talk about the 1980s Milwaukee Bucks. Great teams, right? Detroit Pistons, my team I grew up with in Detroit. Old school Portland Trail Blazers. Oh, the New York Knicks of the 70s, the New York Knicks of the 90s, the Chicago Bulls. You can go on and on. Let's do that. Let's match teams against teams. Hey, can this Golden State team of this year that's in the finals go against the 1985 whatevers? I guess it still would come to the fact that those eras are different. But again, I'd rather talk about the teams, because when I grew up, and a lot of y'all that's in my age group from that era, it was all about the teams: the New York Knicks, the Pistons, the Trailblazers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Bulls, the Lakers, the Celtics. It was always about the team. It was never about the individuals. Yes, the stars, the marquee stars, the superstars made up the teams. But as a collective, here's the Celtics, here's the Lakers, here's the Pistons, here's the Bulls. It wasn't about the individuals. I could be having revisiting the history, but I'm telling you, from that era, I don't remember a lot of talk. Again, we didn't have sports debate shows back then. I guess it's a chance where they need to fill, their time slots. But man, it's so many other things in sports we can debate about. But I get so tired of, is he the greatest of all time? Is he in your top 5? Look, man, Kobe Bryant. I like Kobe Bryant. Well, is he in your top 7? Look, man, I like him. Doesn't matter if he's in my top 7. Doesn't matter if I consider him the GOAT. Okay, last one. And that'll probably wrap all this up what I'm talking about. Let's appreciate their greatness. Let's appreciate LeBron in his greatness. Kobe, Magic, Dominique Wilkins, Larry Bird, George Gervin, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Akeem Olajuwon. Let's appreciate the greatness, the grace, the skill, the poetic moves, the dunking, the layups, the steals, the free throws. Let's appreciate the greatness of basketball, the players, the teams of the National Basketball Association. I'm not trying to win any compelling arguments with this. It's something I want to talk about. And a lot of you folks, men and women who enjoy sports, watch these shows I mentioned, and you get tired of it. The debate shows, everyone's yelling. Stephen A. got to yell. Skip Bayless got to yell. Shannon got to yell. Everyone's yelling. I don't hear nothing. Oh, who's in your top 5? Oh, my gosh. Let's just appreciate the greatness, man. Can we do that? Why does it have to be a versus? Why does it have to go against? I may be contradicting myself in some ways because I do a lot of verses when it comes to my gym shoe stories. But I'm comparing. It's a shoe. It's a difference. But the NBA players, again, it's the only sport that does this. And it is so exhausting. That is why the decline in sports debate shows. We get tired of it. Talk about something else. That's why people tune into their regional and their local sports shows, and they leave the ESPNs and all these other ones alone because it's the same thing. Tune in tomorrow. We'll debate. Is LeBron better than Kobe? You just talked about this yesterday. Is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in your top 5? Is he considered the GOAT? Oh, my gosh. I wonder what they're going to talk about tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow's show, it is George Gervin versus Dominique Wilkins. Who's in your top 12? Please stop. Do something else. Producers, executive producers, directors, screenwriters, host and hostesses, networks, please come up with something else as it relates to the NBA. Stop with the GOAT. Stop with the greatest of all time. Stop with your top 5 list. Stop it. That closes out today's show. And my closing remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I got a little, I won't say upset. This is nothing to be upset about. Just having a little fun, just ranting. Again, as a sports fan, I get so tired. I'm going to continue to watch them, but it get to the point where it's like, okay, next station. Oh, well, I just play my PlayStation, or I just watch YouTube, because it's the same thing over and over again. Who's better? Well, he's better. He's in my list. Thank you guys for tuning in today on the NOMADCAST. Trust and believe. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Have a great Tuesday today. All peace, all love, Godspeed, all the best. Until we meet again, trust and believe.